Hello again, everyone. Chris England here. This time I'm doing my English review of the Gods Renewed special banner. So this was the New Year's banner that came out at the beginning of this year. So as we introduce the brand new Year's heroes, we start with the Earnest Greetings. We have Ashe gaining her first alt as a Blue Beast infantry unit drawn by Yoshiro Anbe. Beautiful design, kind of connecting both the end of winter and the beginning of the new year with the Askerian white with light blue, along with a very nice shade of purple on the sleeves of the kimono, and the fur lining of the collar is very beautiful and indeed. As a nice touch, we have the cow head on top of the New Year's paddle. We have for her voice actress once again Shino Shimoji doing also voicing Aki Hatono and Neko Arc from Carnival Phantasm, Myrtle from Arc Knights, and Hikari from Xenoblade Chronicles 2. As for her kit, we start out with a very good base of Bonfire, Attack Defense Bulwark, copycatting what her father has originally, and then she continues off of her mythic form with Opening Retainer. So any ally within two spaces can move with it to another square within two spaces of unit, and as well the joint drive attack bonus. We also have the finishing point of the Distant series with Distant Reversal, having a counterattack regardless of distance between units, and if she, during the attack, she gains defense +5. But her horns are the better part, with Heralding Horn offering a starting point of the cooldown count -1, and then if she's attacked by a foe or at start of combat, if foe's HP is great 75% or more. During combat, she inflicts a -6 debuff on attack to foe, gives herself a +6 buff to attack, and base gains effects based on the number of allies within 3 spaces. If she's got one ally or more, and she has either triangle advantage or is under attack, she performs a two times attack, or a brave attack. If there's 2 or more, she reduces the first attack's damage by 40%. And if there's 3 or more, so the maximum for base, without including any kind of special mode, she inflicts a deny follow-up to the foe. And then her transformation is, of course, the large adult with +2 attack, +7 damage when triggering her special, and then also just the tempo effect of no effect can add cooldown count to the foe or minus cooldown count to hers. So one of the best things about her is that she is offering a brave attack and not a guaranteed follow-up, which is negatable. The other best part about her weapon is the fact that the best skill is actually the easiest one to activate, with just 1 or more allies within 3 spaces, and she's either under attack is the easiest one since that synchronizes with her weapon and her A skill, or the less common case of an anti-red triangle advantage. The 2 and 3 are both decent enough skills in and of themselves, but they're both negatable. This is actually one of the most common negates that a lot of players have, and then there's a good amount of new units as well as the Special Spiral 4, which negate any kind of non-special damage reduction. The other plus is that she is going to be healing as well as debuffing and being just a tank. So all range, healing tank with a warp buff, brave attacks, damage reduction, and denial of follow-ups. And then also the 6+ and 6- attack swing is a nice gesture, just adding to her tanking, what she offers as a tank. The other thing, too, is that she is a very easy unit to fully inherit, with only requiring a unit have distant counter to inherit the remaining skills that she comes with, that being the Bulwark as well as the Distant Reversal. So while most units might require multiples of this and skip out on the 3, in this case, all you need to do is just give up a Hector or a Nyla or any one of the 4-star specials that give you that distant counter, and then you can get everything from Ashe. In total, I give her the highest value so far. And as a transformation, she also gained growth in her fur. For our second 5-star focus, we have the Resolute Grouch. We have Elm gaining his first ever version that playable alt in Fae, as we missed the chance to get him during the last Mythic Legendary banner of Book 6. But we do have, like Ashe in the art from Azutaro, a very beautiful design kimono with the red and black, as well as the gold trim for the emblem, the tie on the back, and then the very adorable bat design on the paddle. Elm is also changing his case while being a green beast. He continues his flyer, and his voice actor continues being Miyu Irino. So Ritsu from Mob Psycho 100, Shino from Genshin Impact, Astral from Yu-Gi-Oh! Zeal, Yuichiro Hyakuya from Seraph of the End, and then Akito Hyuga from Code Geass Akito the Exiled. So this is also a very intriguing kit, not only because of the beast near trace that he comes with, so he no longer has to worry about any kind of uh, being solo or being next to beast only units, as well as coming with Feud 3. So Kanto, conditionless transformation, anti-colorless. The big thing for this is that he only comes with tier 3 skills, whereas a lot of the more recent empty kit 5-stars has had at least one kind of tier 4 or one preferred skill. So if it wasn't for the beast near trace skill, this would be a kit that would be on the edge of being a 4-star demote. He also comes with Luna, not a very exceptional special, but we have his Fang of Finality. Once again, offering a cooldown count -1. Then if he's initiating battle or is solo, so not adjacent to any ally, he gives himself attack speed +6 during combat, also nullifies any effects that would deny him follow-ups, and then he buffs his damage by the number of enemy allies within 3 spaces of foe +1 times 10%, and that's taken from his speed, with a maximum of 30% of his speed being added to damage. Having that high of a speed score means that he's dealing a lot more damage. And then by the same alone condition, he also will reduce any AoE special damage as well as any damage done through attacks in combat by the same calculation times 20%. So the number of enemy allies within 3 spaces of foe +1, that number times 20% with a maximum of 60%. And then he also comes with the flyer transformation bonus with attack +2 and movement +1. So unlike Ashe, Elm is a much better combat focused unit, as his kit offers way more to less of a condition wise. because he doesn't even need to initiate combat for both of his skills, as he just needs to be alone. So while Ashe kind of low goes down in a power level by losing all of her allies, Elm really doesn't mind having no allies, as his that's what his kit offers. He doesn't care about having any allies on his team. Even he just needs by having no allies, he gets consistent attack speed +6, uh, get nullifying guaranteed denial of follow-ups, as well as damage buff and damage reduction. He also has a very good movement combined with his Canto Remember +1. One thing that I will say is that he is a lot harder to inherit in some sense, because while he is a very easy unit to it's a very easy skill to choose, with the Beast Near Trace being a good target for a lot of flying and cavalry beast units. It also means that inheriting from him is going to be slightly less efficient. Now, granted, he does not have to have any prerequisite for any unit in general, but it also means that you're only realistically using 3 of the slots, with the 4th going to maybe Luna, or if you really need it, New Moon, which shouldn't be that hard to come across. I would give him the lesser score than Ashe in terms of pull rate, especially since they actually made a Resolute Grouch pack giving you a freebie of him by paying whatever the $40, $50, $55, including the orbs. Now onto our 4-star focus, being the Welcoming Dawn. We have Velvet, or Panne for any English viewers. Uh, this is a very interesting choice from drawing from Chico, where we have a much more motherly look to her kimono as opposed to a warrior race of transforming rabbits. We have the slightly less poofy collar fur, but the color scheme is much more muted in my personal perspective for the kimono being a light purple, where the shawl is a slightly more dark purple, but not super dark. We also have the adorable Usagi mochi laying on a pillow that she carries. So I'm happy because Panne finally gets an alt after 3 to 4 years of being pushed aside for other units as a Red Beast cavalry. We have her voice actor as Yuki Masuda, so Ukraine from Hitalia, Fiona from Super Robot Wars, and then also Eri from Inuyasha. So as her kit is a 4-star focus unit, it requires a lot more to offer any kind of value. But one of the best things about this kit is that she comes with attack speed clash at 4-star as a tier 3. So if you pull her as a 4-star, you don't need to promote her in order to transfer this skill over to another unit. For her 5-star tier 3, it's low speed defense. So while this is another skill that could really be put into the regular pool, I really don't mind it as much, because it's one of those types of skills that does not require you to be at tier 3, because the nullification can still be used at tier 1. You're just not gaining the full effect of the 3s. She also comes with Luna and the Keen Rabbit Fang. So, of course, she's going to get the effective against cavalry that she had originally, as well as cooldown count -1. And then if she initiates combat or is not adjacent to a single ally, during combat, she copycats Elm by gaining attack speed +6, and then ignoring any denial of follow-ups. She reduces the foe's first attack's damage by 40%, and then if her speed is higher than the foe's speed during combat, she gets cooldown count +1 per attack. And then, of course, the rabbit bonus for transformation is attack +2, and then during combat she gives the opponent a attack defense debuff of 4 and denies follow-up. So versus herself means that she's going to nullify both effects. One of the best things about this kit is just the simplicity. Sure, we can nullify the effects of the damage reduction, but the fact is that the conditions to activating her weapon are just very, very simple. It's just being initiating combat or alone, which is what a lot of beasts have tended to do. And because she's a cavalry, she can utilize the clashes effect up to the best in total, being +8 to both attack and speed. Now, granted, she does not come with 4, which would be a very, very good thing to start giving 4-star focuses, tier 4s of skills that aren't necessarily as meta relevant. But of course, Clash is still relevant. One thing that I will say is that giving her attack speed clash 4 would definitely be a good choice, as well as something that just buffs her own speed, like odd speed wave 3 or even speed wave 3 as definite options for her kit. In terms of inheritance, you're always going to aim for this, with this number, this as a 1 being your just filler slot. She's not necessarily one of the best units to inherit off this banner, that being Ashe, but at the same time, she is a very good, just basic unit if you manage to pull her. And once again, as she transforms, the fur around her neck also grows bigger. So now onto our duo unit. This is the Renewed Gods. We have Askr and Embla. This is actually one of the more beautiful artworks from Alec Nishiki, being a Askr with his white, blue, and gold trim. Embla with her red, black, and gold trim. Very, very nice in terms of the contrasting color choices. We also have this case where this is not just a duo, but a trio with Askr, Embla, and Faye. I will say that this is a very good choice, although I am sad that Askr is an example of a unit who's getting not only an alt within not even a year of his first release, but we also have the only unit of the banner that is not a beast unit, that being Colorless Tome Infantry. For the voice actors, we of course have Takaya Kuroda, so we're going to go with Kazuma Kiryu from the Yakuza series, and then Sullivan from Welcome to Demon School Iruma-kun. For Embla, once again, we have Sakura Tange. So Cagliostro from Grand Blue Fantasy. We have Saber Nero and Jack the Ripper from Fate Grand Order. We have Vittoria from Rising of the Shield Hero. And Cardinal from Sword Art Online Alicization. Aha, we have something AoE based, taking nothing from Lilina. So we once again start out with Bonfire. We have a repeat of Attack Res Tempo. And then we have Opened Domain. So the bonus of at the start of turn, if there's a ally with a different starting world than this skill's user, any allies within 2 spaces, as well as unit itself, gain Resonant Blades, Resonant Shield, and if their cooldown count is at maximum, they automatically get a reduction of 1. We also have a brand new finish skill in the form of Defense Resistance. But the best part, and also the most interesting part, is going to be the Duality Vessel. So once again, we're going to go ahead and just copycat the cooldown count -1. And then if there's an ally within 3 spaces of unit, or unit's defense is higher than foe's defense, any damage done through AoE specials gets reduced by 1.5 times the difference in defense. So the best example that they gave was Lilina, who has absolutely horrible defense, trying to do damage with her AoE, which also is a weaker version of an AoE. So taking absolutely no damage, possible with very little damage. And then with the same condition, ally condition of having someone within 3 spaces, during combat, the unit gets Spectrum +5, a guaranteed follow-up, and then reduces damage by 20% of their defense, and then also has a tier 3 stance bonus where the unit inflicts a cooldown count -1 on foe per attack. One of the interesting things about this weapon is how very specific it is. So one of the big things is that as long as the basic skill here is only for AoE specials. So this is less, it's not less valuable, it's just less relevant to the point that I'm making. But the basic of combat effect disappears if you have no allies within 3 spaces or just no allies. And then the same thing happens with this one, where even if you're reducing damage from AoE specials, that's only if the foe is using AoE specials. So the big thing is that he's very, very strong with allies. With no allies, his weapon just becomes cooldown count -1. And he also loses the buff from both his A skill and C skill, meaning that he only has really his B skill left. So while I do love the kit that he offers, it's the fact that he is a very he's the most reliant on allies out of the entire banner, having reduction based on defense being the only thing that doesn't require allies necessarily. Now, the other thing on his case is the fact that he is a duo unit, so he's offering just being that duo unit. For inheritance, you either choose the finish, since this is the only version of defense res finish 4. There's no 3, there's no other 4s, or the tempo. And while tempo is a much more common skill, it's so far not really available on normal units. So one of the big things about him is the fact that he's very, very good at what he does, but very, very situational. And also the best thing is, because he's a tome unit, he does not transform. So we go from Lilinda's 13 to a 2. And then 15 becomes 49 with all of his bonus skills. As for his duo skill, any allies within 2 spaces, as well as himself, get attack speed, spectrum +6, and cooldown count -1. That's kind of plain for a duo skill, except for the fact that it is a repeatable skill. Yes, this skill is not a once per map only skill, but instead once every 3 turns skill. So while in general this effect is not the strongest skill out of all the duo skills, there are also probably the only skill that I can realistically think of that's lesser than this is Duo Ephraim, but he's a normal pool unit, so it's kind of hard to differentiate between that point. But the fact that you can repeat this as a bonus, just Spectrum +6 and cooldown count -1, making him once again a very good full team unit, as opposed to just a really good duo unit. And as we can see from the quotes, Embla sounds like she's not actually enjoying herself, acts like she's not enjoying herself, but realistically she's enjoying it. And then we have the story added gods renewed. So for our Tempest trial unit, we have Happy New Year Yarne. So drawn by Panne R, voiced by Daisuke Endo. So Sagat from Street Fighter 4 and 5, and Totomaru from Fairy Tail. So unfortunately, they decided that they're still not going to be doing anything with adding the skills in the banner, I guess because they want to keep it as hidden as possible. So Wary Rabbit Fang, his special weapon, is going to give him effective against cavalry and speed +3. The transformation is going to be the same as Panne, attack +2, and then during combat, the foe gets a debuff on their attack and defense of 4 and a denial of follow-up. If he's attacking alone, initiating combat, or not adjacent to a single ally, during combat he gets attack speed +6, gives a penalty onto the foe's attack and defense based on 20% of his own speed. And then after combat, if his HP is 90% or less, he gives himself a cooldown count -2, which combines very, very, very well with his Gale Force skill. He also comes with the speed defense solo with tier 3 being the 5-star skill, and then a repeat of threaten attack speed 2 as his 4-star. So this is actually a much better version of the Yarne 5-star Yarne base form. I won't say that it's the better version because speed defense as well as the bonuses that he offers are not necessarily that much different, especially since his original Rabbit Fang got a refine. But the big thing is that he's a very good replacement, especially for free-to-play players who have not had a chance to pull him yet, or haven't pulled him with a good IV set, since he comes with neutral IVs as a Tempest Trial unit. So one of the better things also is that his B skill is open, so you have options of giving him escape route like his base form. You have the option of giving him desperation as a offensive option. You have also have the option to swap out his speed defense solo for attack speed solo, or attack defense solo if you have the option to do that. The other option is just to turn it into a 4, although I feel like 4 isn't as useful as it should be, just because it's not enough of a point value to realistically sacrifice. But if Frenzy is an option to add on to, as opposed to Desperation, you can give him damage reduction as a beautiful bonus. I would say that in terms of this banner, which sadly requires Fade Pass to spark, in terms of what I would say is the best unit for inheriting, I'd say Ashe is one of the top units, simply because she gives you Bulwark as well as the Distant Reversal, which is very, very easy to inherit everything just by giving up a unit with Distant Counter. You can't inherit her C skill or nor her weapon. Now, this does not mean that she is a horrible combat unit. She is very good at combat, but I feel like the skills that she offers on base are definitely have much more value to be inherited. In terms of the combat unit, I've give that to Elm. While Elm in and of himself does come with that Beast Near Trace, his weapon in and of itself is the very versatile aspect of just requiring him not to be adjacent to an ally. Having damage buffs, nullifying deny follow-ups, damage reduction, Canto, removing conditions to transform, and then as an added bonus, the anti-colorless skill. In terms of building projects, if you really have a lot of 5-star manuals, Panne is a really good choice for addition, since she automatically does come with Clash 3. Adding Clash 4 as well as a near trace skill definitely does help. Her weapon in and of itself is simplistic, not necessarily the most powerful weapon, but very, very good for what it can do, as well as I believe. For the duo unit, the only reason why I would suggest Askr over anyone else is because he's neither the best unit for inheriting or combat. Because while he does have very good combat skill, alone he is very poor in combat skill, since realistically the only thing he has left is his B skill. B skill, cooldown count -1, and bonfire. because every single other skill will get shut down with no allies. Granted, he does still have his duo skill, which gives him more combat ability, but removing everything that everything that he has in combat means that his abilities are probably cut at least by half. That's actually how most people would clear Tempest Trials, just by removing the thing that makes him really tanky. For the case of Yarne, he's a very good unit to build up from the ground up. Even just building him budget by adding in the B skill makes him a very, very good unit. And then the other thing that I like about this banner is that in addition to getting a brand new character, or technically a brand new character, we get 4 units that have finally got their first alts. The ones that I'm not as happy with are Ashe and Askr, just because about 1 year and about 6 months to a year. But for the Tagwell duo, it is 3 to 4 years. So at least we have another 2 units moving off of the long-awaited list of no alts. So thank you very much for watching my video. If you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you and have a nice night.